I won't visit Dogland and run with the power pups. You got to love their style and how they never, ever, ever give up. Who loves dogs? Who loves dogs? We rise to any challenge, and no one here is average. We are the power pups. You know we'll ever, ever, ever give up. Dogs, dogs, you love dogs. Dogs, dogs, you love dogs.
Hello, and welcome to the Adventures of Power Dog in Dogland. We are so glad you are joining us for this very special season.
Tree!
That's right, season 3 of our story. Now you know the theme, and actually, Hank has an even better way to describe the theme.
May the forest be with you.
Aw, I love that. May the forest be with you, and may the forest be with us all. Have you ever looked up into the sky at night? Have you ever done so on a clear night when there are no clouds in the sky and from somewhere dark so that you could really see how massive and filled with things our Milky Way galaxy is? Next time you get a chance to look up into the night sky, and if it's the right time of the year where you live, you could focus on the furthest smudge you could see. The smudge I'm talking about is vaguely shaped like the head of a dog, or more specifically, like the dog's ancestor, a wolf. It is the part of the universe called the Dogmos. Now, if you could travel to that special part of outer space known as the Dogmos, you might see bright orange starry clouds called nebulas, and you might see icy comets traveling along their orbits. You might see a giant wolf-dog face-shaped sun, but make sure not to look right at it. It's even larger and brighter than our sun, and just like our sun, it is also a star. All throughout the Dogmos, you'd very likely see mini stars called pulsars, with tiny planets or asteroids zipping around them at dizzying speeds. You might also see pieces of ice and galactic dust twinkling in the light of their large sun. And at the very heart of the Dogmos is an incredible, vibrant world. The closest translation in any Earth language, like English, for example, for what it would be called would be
Dogland!
And this planet, Dogland, is home to millions of amazing dogs, dog-like beings, and other marvelous creatures and plants, and fantastical beings that aren't quite creatures or plants. And today's story begins at night, not that very long ago. Actually, it was dusk, not quite night. Do you all remember that word, dusk? Or perhaps you remember that really fun to say big word, crepuscular, meaning of twilight, or dusk. Here on Earth and also on Dogland, many souls call it magic hour, because the golden light makes everything more dreamy for the eyes to behold. Have you ever noticed that sometimes you can see the moon shining brightly during dusk, even before the sun has set? This was that kind of night. And the big moon of Dogland, that is, their moon that is outside of their atmosphere, and not the smaller floating moons that are within their atmosphere, was very nearly, maybe only a night or two away from being a full moon. The very nearly full moon is called waxing gibbous. Waxing means the lighted surface you can see is getting bigger, and the opposite of that is waning, which means getting smaller. On this night, Dogland's waxing gibbous moonlight was shining particularly brightly across the city of Lictopolis. And I'm sure you remember Lictopolis, right? It is the bustling capital city of the entire planet of Dogland. Lictopolis at dusk is quite a sight to see. As it slowly gets darker and darker outside, streetlights and shop signs start to flicker on, and individuals can be seen scurrying around the city to meet for dinner, dancing, playing games in parks, or hurrying home for quiet time by themselves or with their families, friends, housemates, or maybe even a little bit of all of the above. Now, at this time, on this night, not only was the bright, nearly full moon shining its light down and across Lictopolis, it was sending one very bright, focused moonbeam, like a spotlight, right above a sweet little tree in a park. The little tree in the little park under the bright moonbeam had always done their best growing in the moonlight. The tree seemed to love the moon so much. And down low in the part of the bark close to the tree's strong and spindly roots, there were the prints of 3 different puppy paws. The tree had met the little puppies at their own tree planting ceremony, hosted by Dogland's president, Bernie Sandals. The tree had felt the puppies' love instantly. The paw prints were a way that this particular tree held memories. Trees are very different from puppies, but they are living things and they have their own ways of being and growing and loving. That is why you are going to hear me call trees they, them, instead of it. On this night, under the silver moonlight of the waxing gibbous moon, the 3 little paw prints in the bark of the little tree were glowing and pulsing, as if the tree had left a light on inside, and the paw prints were some type of cloudy windows for any dog on the outside to try to see into. No dog was looking at the little tree or their bark at that moment, but 4 young dogs were racing along towards that park, running almost too fast for their own floppy paws, floppy ears, and floppy tongues to handle. "Hurry up!" exclaimed Taffy teasingly, even though Tuffy, Power Dog, and Fetcher were right at her side. Tuffy and Power Dog, tongues hanging out as they raced along, grinned from floppy ear to floppy ear. Fetcher sped up ahead of them just a bit and laughed over his shoulder. Power Dog leapt up into the air, flying over him and sticking his tongue out playfully. "Oh, okay, show off," laughed Fetcher. Power Dog grinned and started winding up his legs for a run while still in the air, landing gently on the path while still running at a fast clip. Taffy sped up remarkably and said, "It was my idea the first time. I'm the leader." They all smiled and nodded, knowing quite well that no one was really the leader of this motley crew. The 4 best cousins kept on going, without slowing down again until they saw the sweet little tree, bathing in the silvery moonbeam. The only other light nearby was a neon light at the bottom of a billboard, which was just then flickering on. Beyond the sweet little tree and across the street, the light at the bottom of the billboard illuminated the photographed face of Dogland's president, Bernie Sandals. The photo-turned giant billboard made Power Dog grin. He recognized that it was taken at the tree planting ceremony for the very tree they were visiting on this night, but years ago. Power Dog and Fetcher and the twins and their families, along with what felt like the entire city of Lictopolis, had been there that day. He remembered watching raccoon-type forest dogs from the blue starlit forest bring the little tree in a wagon. He had eagerly watched as the grown-ups dug into the soft, dark soil and carefully, all together, placed the root ball of the young tree into the hole. He remembered they called the tree a sapling, and he remembered they all together, pups and grown-ups alike, had a grand time kicking soft dirt into place around the tree with their hind legs before smushing the soil into a little blanket around the base of the tree with their front paws. He could remember that feeling of soft dirt under his paw pads and he could even remember the delicious, earthy smell. He remembered that Fetcher was next to him, and he remembered leaning against his brother softly and asking, "Will the little tree grow okay? All alone?" Fetcher had shrugged, for he was not sure, and then President Sandals had begun speaking for the ceremony. Power Dog, Fetcher, and the twins smiled as the billboard lit up more fully from top to bottom, and they read the words across the top, which were the exact same words Power Dog remembered President Sandals saying at the tree planting ceremony. "We are all connected at our roots and rooted in our connection." At the bottom of the billboard, there was an invitation for a new tree planting ceremony in the very same park and just down the lane from the still small but thriving favorite little tree. Then, all of a sudden, beyond the billboard, far off in the darkening sky, Power Dog thought he saw something, a flash. Was it a shooting star? He wasn't sure, so he held his breath and focused his super-powered vision towards the stars. Are those two stars racing towards each other? Then he saw an explosion and what looked like two stars colliding into each other in space. Howard Dog, barked his twin cousins. "You are spacing out," laughed Fetcher as he prodded Power Dog with his soft, wet nose. Power Dog shook his head, rah, looked back up to the sky, closed his eyes, opened them again, and nothing was there now. And then he looked into the faces of his eager cousins and brother. Right, let's do this," Power Dog barked excitedly. They all nodded in agreement and leapt into the air for a perfect four-way high-paw. None of the dogs noticed that the little paw print impressions on the tree were still glowing and pulsing. Instead, they looked above the tree to marvel at the special, fluffy, cottony Dogland clouds that were floating in, as if the clouds themselves knew it was time for fun. The four dogs bounced off of each other from the high paw and began to run through the park as fast as they could. They circled the sweet little tree, running too fast to notice the paw prints aglow, just running and running, faster and faster, as if they had the mega zoomies. You remember what the zoomies are, right? If you have a family pet or younger sibling, then you may have already seen an individual get the zoomies. It is also possible that you have gotten the zoomies. I myself have seen my kid co-writer get the zoomies just today. This is a popular and silly word for when a dog or cat or kid or, well, anybody of any kind gets a burst of bouncy, hyper-frenetic energy, and that burst of energy could make that individual run as fast as they can in circles and zoom, zoom, zoom all around until they burn off that quick burst of energy. This pack of zoomers ran so fast that they started to catch air, as if they'd made their own invisible funnel cloud that doubled as a spiral staircase. The little tree shook from the activity and shimmied as if they were excited too. Power Dog, Fetcher, Tuffy, and Taffy rose up toward a cluster of those special white, fluffy clouds, shining in the moonlight and now hovering right above the little tree. They all caught onto the edges of the fluffy white clouds with their paws, launching them up higher into the sky and bouncing across the tops of the clouds like a giant feather bed. Or maybe it felt like those bouncy castles you puppies of Earth love so much. Have you ever been to a bouncy house or bouncy castle? Did you ever jump so hard and so high that your hair stood up? That's how it felt for them. Positively electric. All four of them were grinning from ear to floppy ear when suddenly a shadowy and exceptionally thick cloud rolled overhead, blocking out the moonlight and giving Power Dog a chill that shot down his spine and made his fur bristle and stand on end. He was suddenly quite worried and began to tremble and sink down through a soft, fluffy cloud. He looked around to find his brother, and saw that Fetcher wasn't too far away. As he started to gather his energy to fly over to his brother, he saw a flash of recognition on Fetcher's face, and then heard him say, "Oh, it's you," up to the ominous shadow above them. All of the dogs were looking up at the giant shadow and then sighed sighs of relief when they heard Fetcher and saw the cloud shift and change into a very familiar silhouette. "Well, well, well," said the cloud dragon, "if it isn't the little custards who are always in need of dragon help." "Hey, Cloudy."
Hi, Cloudy.
All 4 dogs said with little nods and paw waves. "Guess what? We don't need your help tonight," exclaimed Fetcher. Yeah, agreed Power Dog, Tuffy, and Taffy. "I'm starting to think this dragon is following me," loud whispered Fetcher to the other 3. Cloudy raised a fluffy cloud dragon eyebrow, and Taffy said, "We're just cloud running and bouncing. It's our back-to-school tradition now. Tomorrow I head back to the islands, Fetcher goes back to Cody's desert den, and then these 2 go up to the college moon." She waved one paw towards the desert, then the sea, and the other straight up to the little college moon above Lictopolis. Power Dog laughed on the inside, as she looked a bit like a weather vane. Cloudy considered this for a beat, all while flying in slow circles around the 4 dogs, who were now seated on a very thick cloud all together. Cloudy then rolled lazily onto their back and said, "Are you quite certain you don't need dragon help tonight?" Cloudy stared right into Fetcher's, then Power Dog's eyes in a way that made Power Dog feel unsettled. The dogs nodded tentatively, and Fetcher said, "Is there anything we should know about? Do we need your help?" Cloudy smiled slyly. It occurred to Power Dog that Cloudy seemed a little different, less pranking, more serious. "Hey, Cloudy, are you all right?" asked Power Dog. "Do you need our help?" At this, Cloudy snorted defiantly. "Ha! Me, a dragon, needing the help of some little bouncing dogs. Hilarious." But when they turned their head away, Power Dog thought he recognized anxiety or worry in Cloudy's face, and maybe even some tears under one of those giant dragon eyes. To be fair, it was hard to tell in the moonlight. When Cloudy turned their face back, however, Power Dog noticed that the eye with the tears actually had 3 large scarlet red marks right below it. He didn't remember this as one of Cloudy's facial features. Wait, was that a fresh scratch? Claw marks, maybe? Those would have to be very large, sharp claws to get under a cloud dragon's scales and through their constantly shifting Cloudy self, Power Dog thought. And how could one get close enough to ever even do that? Power Dog wanted to get close to Cloudy's face, and Power Dog wanted to ask Cloudy about this very much. But the dragon puffed up their chest a bit and looked down their long, bright, white dragon snout at them and swirled down to the little tree. "Come, doggos, your special tree is calling to you." "Calling to us?" asked Power Dog as they all looked down below at the dragon and the tree. And how did this dragon know this was their special tree? Cloudy used their long puffy tail to wrangle some smaller clouds into a bit of a staircase, and the pups hopped from cloud to cloud until they were almost on the ground and very near to the tree's roots. The pups' signature paw prints in the tree were really glowing and pulsing, and it would have been impossible for just about any soul not to notice. "Huh," said Power Dog as he drew nearer to get a better look. "Whoa," said the twins in unison. Fetcher walked in a circle around the tree, sniffing carefully and inspecting the glowing imprints. "Have you ever seen that before?" asked Fetcher. Power Dog, Taffy, and Tuffy shook their heads side to side to say no. "Curious," said Power Dog. "I was talking to you," Fetcher said sternly in Cloudy's direction. They all looked at Cloudy for an explanation, but the dragon said nothing and only stared at them intensely. Power Dog padded over to the paw prints cautiously and sniffed them as the twins, his brother, and the dragon watched. He looked all around the park at the other trees and plants and didn't notice any other mysterious glowing anythings. He said, and then he placed his paw on the paw print he knew to be his. Nothing happened. Taffy patted over and placed her paw on the paw print she knew to be hers, and still nothing happened. Tuffy patted over. He gently licked his paw beans clean before very gingerly palming his own glowing paw print. Then, suddenly, a fourth paw print belonging to no dog in particular, as far as they could tell, appeared above the others. "Fetcher!" exclaimed Power Dog as his brother looked around uneasily, yet drew nearer. Fetcher very, very cautiously reached toward the fourth paw print, but then drew his paw back to his body and looked at Cloudy. "Are you sure you don't know what this is about?" Cloudy smiled a sly smile and shrugged. Fetcher reached out and put his paw over the print the best he could. And with that, all four of the prints flashed brighter and more golden than any light they'd ever seen besides their own sun. They yelped in surprise, with Power Dog nearly jumping out of his fur and back up onto the cloud staircase, which was already starting to float apart. "What?" all of them exclaimed as they closed their eyes and scrunched up their faces in surprise. When they opened their eyes, there was a glowing golden acorn-shaped cone of some kind nestled into the roots of the special little tree. The paw prints were no longer glowing, and the mysterious fourth print was entirely gone. "What is that?" asked Power Dog.
It's a message,
said Cloudy. "The trees, they have their own language." "A message?" asked Taffy, while Tuffy cocked his head to one side, indicating that he was totally confused. "Cloudy, what do you know that you aren't telling us?" asked Fetcher. The cloud dragon smiled, but they didn't seem happy. They swirled around the little tree, almost completely hiding the trunk and branches in their shape-shifting cloud-tastic body. They then reached down and picked up the cone in their talons and shot over to Power Dog quickly, holding the cone aloft. Power Dog was shocked by how fast Cloudy was upon him with this mysterious object and backed into Fetcher trembling. Cloudy then thrust the cone into Power Dog's shaking paws and quickly flew straight up into the air above the tree. The cone felt soft and hard at the same time, and it was glittery. As the dogs peered into it, all four of them felt they could see a tiny galaxy of the most impossibly tiny lights deep inside of it. Power Dog looked up to Cloudy, who was floating up and away, so far away already. He had so many questions. The dragon turned their head, the fresh red scratch reflecting in the moonlight, and bellowed,
"Save the trees! Save the Dogmos!"
That's it for today's episode. Thanks for joining us as we kick off our third season. Hi, Mom.
"Hi, Hank." So, Hank, how excited are you to finally be sharing Season 3?
Tree!
That's right, Season 3. Okay, Hank, are you ready to tell me a joke?
Yes. Why do dogs howl at night?
Why?
They're trying to reach the bark side of the moon.
Okay, do you have another one?
Oh, yeah. What do dogs and trees have in common?
Huh, what?
They both love a good bark in the park.
Hey grown-ups, this is for you. Do you like stories and learning about new places? Okay, this week we're traveling to Mongolia. How about being silly?
Can I get a hi-ya? ooh, ooh, ooh. Sizzle, sizzle.
And when something tough happens, could you use some advice?
I can do that if I want, because I'm not hurting you. I'm not being mean.
Then check out Story Pillar, a podcast where we tackle sticky situations, hear stories from all over the world, and pick up advice from you, our listeners. More information at storypillar.com and listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Thank you, listeners. If you liked what you heard, you can see more content at our website, PowerDogAdventures, all one word, .com. There you can sign up for our infrequently emailed newsletter and also submit any good dog jokes. And we'll be forever grateful if you feel like telling your friends about the show too. If you are looking for more great shows, then please check out the other members of Kids Listen, a grassroots organization dedicated to high-quality audio for kids and families. There are well over 100 great shows to find there. Ask your grown-up to check out kidslisten.org to find out more. Special thanks to our creative partner, the inimitable Jason Rourke, who makes these stories sound extra good with his wise counsel, recording, sound design, and even original music. This podcast has been made possible in part by funding provided by the Regional Arts and Culture Council in Portland, Oregon. Thank you, RAC. It has been made even more possible by listeners like you. Thank you so much for your support, and extra big thanks to our Patreon patrons who get early access to all of our episodes ad-free, as well as goodies and merch and birthday shout-outs at any level of support. We are not joking even a little when we say we could not do this without you. The Adventures of Power Dog and Dogland is created in the ancestral lands of the Cowlitz, Multnomah, Kathlamet, Clackamas, Tumwater, Tualatin Kalapuya, Wasco, Molalla, Watlala, bands of the Chinook, and other indigenous nations and tribes of the first people who made their homes along the rivers here in what is now called Portland, Oregon. And special thanks to our own Granny and Gramps who helped us write and record our Power Dog theme song that you'll hear at the end of the episode. Hey, Granny and Gramps, what key did y'all say that's in?
It's in D for Dogland. Till they're done. Power dog, he won't give up. When we're chasing danger and we're riding across the seas, sure he's right there leading us up, barking with the seals. Power dog, he won't give up. Power dog, he won't give up. Chases problems till they're done. Power dog, he won't give up. When we're chasing trouble and we're riding across the stars, sure he's right there beside us, just holding our paws. Power dog, he won't give up. Power dog, he won't give up. Chases problems till they're done. Power dog, he won't give up. When we're chasing trouble and we're zooming through the stars, sure he's right there beside us, just a zapping near and far. Power dog, he won't give up. Power dog, he won't give up. Chases problems till they're done. Power dog, he won't give up. When we're bugging a volcano or we're straddling a storm, Power dog is right beside us at every little turn. Power dog, he won't give up. Power dog, he won't give up. Chases problems till they're done. Power dog, he won't give up. At night Hispanic foxes, in the days as platypuses. We herd 'em up and whoop 'em down. Our dogs right beside us. Come with me to Dogland, we've got special tales to tell. And when we come together, all our tails will wag as well. So come with me to Dogland, we've got special tales to tell. And when we come together, all our tails will wag as well. Woof, woof, wow!